seriously, thank you for standing, because when Peggy walked over and you gave her a nice applause, I was really tempted to give her a personal standing ovation, but I thought you'd think I was an idiot. And so I didn't. Of course, with all the conversation about my mental health background, well, you know, really, I'm standing here without notes. I had some notes. My husband, Gary, with some effort, printed them out for me, and they were really stupid. So I'm like you. I abandoned them. But I really made my fortune on my ability to speak extemporaneously. A gift that I had at the age of 15, a gift that, frankly, has totally abandoned me at the age of 58. Sitting there listening, you know, I was inspired by this idea and this memory and that memory, and boy, I really could have given you a really good speech if I had just been able to say those ideas, but they're gone now. But one thing that I do remember thinking was that I needed to tell you, and from my heart, that I couldn't have done it alone. In fact, I didn't do any of it at all, and that's the truth. I have my name on this clinic, and my contribution was summed up in a three-letter word: yes. That's the sum total of my contribution, and for that you're here celebrating me. I think there's enough of the celebration of Jane, and there should be some celebration of Warren Township, the school district that made my incredible life possible. So I might share with you that afternoon where I had the opportunity to say yes. As Lee Giles, my first boss at Channel 8, put it, who, by the way, I had no idea he was funny when I worked for him. You know, he was terrifying, especially if you called in sick. So I was in Indiana to be inducted in the Indiana Journalism Hall of Fame. So that was kind of it was a real exciting event. But I had made the decision to take a detour on the way up to Greencastle to stop by Warren Central and congratulate Scott for the remarkable accomplishment of the speech and debate team. So as a former member of the speech and debate team at Warren Central with a state championship, to my credit, I drove into the parking lot at Warren Central on a brilliant, beautiful April day. It was one of those, you know, first spring days where it's warm and blue sky and sunny, and I was frankly a little overwhelmed, because the first thing I saw, and I recognized them, was the speech and debate team, because all these, you know, handsome young champion men and women in their power suits on a pretty spring day. I knew I was looking at the speech and debate team, but behind them were hundreds and hundreds of students. Warren Central had come out to welcome me, and I was absolutely overwhelmed with this welcome and this homecoming, until a little voice inside me said, "You idiot, it's a fire drill." Yeah. And it was. It was a fire drill. It wasn't just any fire drill, but it was a senior prankster who pulled the fire alarm and was identified within 7 minutes. And because I knew I wanted to tell this story and get a laugh, I urged the principal, who was a tall, and what's his name? Rich Shepler. Tall, handsome man, see for yourself. Where are you, Principal Shepler? Yes, see, tall, handsome. Yeah. Now, if I went to Warren Central and I was in trouble, I would not want to be in trouble with that man. But I needed to tell this story and get a laugh, so the story couldn't have the connotation of a guy that was expelled and, you know, and the college acceptance was withdrawn and his life was ruined because of this prank. But there was this reality check. My ability to do reality checks is, I think, one of the secrets to my longevity in television. I for someone who, at the age of 50, was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, I am a person who, for most of my life, have had my feet on the ground, and my head has been pretty much screwed into place, which is why it was so important for me to point out to you what seemed obvious to me when I said I couldn't have done it myself. I didn't do it at all. And I don't feel like you appreciated how sincere that was. If you were at the ribbon cutting ceremony today, and it was a wonderful event, but you might have wondered, as I did, why I couldn't even be trusted with cutting the ribbon by myself. I was given 5 assistants, 5 young people from the Renaissance School. All of us had very large scissors, and together we cut the ribbon that, frankly, I thought I could have handled that part of the job myself. When Dr. Hinckley was introduced and you applauded, and she came over here and she told the story, hey, why don't you build it in a school? Remember that, because history is made on small insights such as that. There is, if you Google school-based health clinics, as I did, and I have spell check, so that's how I knew I didn't spell Renaissance correctly. My spell check corrected. 1 N, 2 S's. School-based health clinics have a history that goes back to the 70s. The first was, I believe, in Dallas, Texas. There are, I think, 1,700 of them, according to what I met, so it's not that unusual. A school-based community health clinic is very, very unusual. Innovation happened in Indianapolis when Peggy Hinckley said, hey, why don't you build that clinic in a school? And I predict that because it is a brilliant idea, that it will be incredibly successful, and that people from around the city, the state, and the country will be coming to see what happens when you build it in a school. This is such a simple idea, but nobody had it before. Peggy said, hey, why don't you build it in a school? When I was given this offer, this was about 45 minutes after I realized that the student body of Warren Central hadn't assembled to give me a personal welcome home. And I had congratulated the speech and debate team and Scott Black, who is the heir to the legacy of Harry Wilfong, who is the man who I would have addressed my letter to were he still living. He was the man who recognized something in me that I had never seen before, and that's my argumentative side. I was pretty good. I'm opinionated, okay. I have opinions. But when Peggy and Bill stopped me on my way out to the car to go back to Greencastle, Bill had a folder under his arm. I think Peggy said, Jane, we have a proposal for you, and we're not asking for money. And then she explained this idea of a school-based community health clinic. I have, not as a journalist, but as a person, I guess, as a person and as a mother, some history with a health organization called the Children's Health Fund. And by all means, Google that. They do excellent work. I've been with them for some 20 years. I've also had an interest in public schools. I believe in public schools, and I think I believe in public schools because I, somewhat later in my life, recognized what an extraordinary school experience I had been given at Warren Central.